Eli, absolute pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you.
I think you get the, of course, now obligatory huge adoring crowd.
Thank you. Never got that before.
They're obviously looking forward to this one. So Eli, full name Eli Chaiton.
Yep.
Is that right? Have I pronounced it correctly?
Yep.
And your role, so obviously this is part of a series of conversations with people at Endeavour Group. Now your role, I've got this right, so you're delivery lead.
Yep.
Within the data-led transformation.
That's correct, yep.
Spot on, perfect. And today, as I say, this is part of a series of conversations. So who have we spoken to so far? We've spoken to Andy Sutton from a sort of, GM data-led transformation perspective.
Yep.
Spoken to Curtis, product management perspective.
Yep.
Cody Agrawal, again, product management. And so really this is, another part of that puzzle to start to, or to further explore Endeavour Group from that delivery lead angle.
Yep.
And to bring to life again what it feels like to work there, sort of the, what defines the look and feel of the job day to day, week by week. And honestly, to just get a real world perspective, warts and all, of what you've found there. Because you've been there how long?
I've been there now 3 months.
3 months, okay.
Yep.
So it's kind of, so you're on the edge of the honeymoon period, are you?
Yeah. I think that's basically right. Yeah. So
fantastic.
I've got the intro.
Yes.
I've seen what's good.
Yep.
I've seen warts and all, as you put it.
Yes.
So it's a good time to have this conversation.
Exactly. Perfect. The first 90 days. Now, in terms of what we're going to cover, it'll obviously end up a bit free form and we'll just kind of shoot the breeze. But broadly speaking, I think we'll look at what it means to deliver projects in a data-led world or data-led context, as opposed to sort of other projects you've delivered in the past. We'll look at, again, there's been this running theme in the conversations about Endeavour described as different figures, but described as either a sort of a 10, a 13 billion or a $15 billion startup, depending probably on the share price of the
day
of the conversation. I think 13.2 billion market cap as of this morning.
Okay.
That's my up-to-date research. But the reason we're looking at that is to understand this kind of almost like the yin and the yang of structure, the large company thing, but with the agility, flexibility of a startup. So that's an interesting piece to explore. We're going to look at allied to that, the ability of a large business to really invest in best practice, best tech, etc. And whether that's the case, you can tell us. Mm-hmm. And also a bit culturally about just what you found there in terms of ways of working.
Yeah.
Be it flexibility, inclusivity, etc., etc. So that's all the work stuff. But life's not all about work. So outside of work, when you're not making waves at Endeavour Group, who is Eli?
So I'm a husband, a father of 4. So if I'm not making...
You don't look old enough.
Got married very young. Yeah. Got married at 21, so...
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. It's good to say congratulations.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. You've got to be positive,
yeah. So very busy with the kids, as you can imagine, 4 kids. But originally from South Africa.
Yep.
Please don't hold that against me.
I'm open-minded. Yep.
But outside of Endeavour Group, spend all my time with the family.
Yep. Are they? I'm concerned it might be like a project team.
It is a little bit. It's a cross-functional project team. Limited budget.
Yep.
Unlimited scope.
Yep.
And can't change the team.
You can't change the team.
Can't change the team, but I wouldn't anyway. So it prepares me for work life.
And do they particularly eldest if there's ever a family trip that includes a Dan Murphy's or a BWS, etc. Do they understand what Dad does? That Dad's in some way impacting.
I think they do understand to a degree.
Yep.
My daughter, my 11-year-old, likes the ways of working at Endeavour.
Yep.
I think part of that is they have a weekly question, Ask Endeavour, with one of our other product managers.
Yeah, right.
Managers or sends out the question. Mm-hmm. And there are questions like, which house in Harry Potter do you align with? So those are
No way.
questions. Those are questions that my 11-year-old gets to answer for me.
That's fantastic.
Or I think this week's is which one of the 7 dwarfs do you most identify with? So that's where my daughter helps me out with work.
So let me guess. You said I'm definitely happy. She said you're definitely grumpy. Yeah.
She said I'm bashful.
Bashful.
Yeah.
Oh, that's quite complimentary.
I don't remember the other one, but I went with I think there's a wise one. I think.
I don't think there is.
Oh, there's no.
I think you've just proved otherwise there. But
I have.
there may be a wise one.
There may be.
Good stuff. Oh, I like that. Now, so Ellie, we've got to look at a Endeavour Group.
Yep.
So when you've managed to get the kids to school or to get them busy, let's talk Endeavour. So let's have a recap here. First of all, in the simplest terms, describe your role to Endeavour Group. In other words, title, how long you've been there, etc.
Yeah. So delivery lead within the data-led transformation tribe.
Okay.
I've been there 3 months.
Yep.
In the simplest terms, we have cross-functional teams delivering data-led projects, use cases.
Yep.
My role is to make sure that the ways in which we work are suitable to deliver those use cases. So what that means is that the way that we estimate our work, the way that we deliver our work, the way that we engage our stakeholders, does that all suit the value that we're trying to deliver to stakeholders and to our customers?
Yeah,
and
understood.
That's my role.
So you're 90 days in.
Yeah.
A couple of questions here. What in this, again, not in real time, but just a snapshot, what was your career pre-Endeavour? And then what attracted you to join?
Yeah. So I started out my professional career as an accountant. So
okay.
And then I was working at a menswear store where I had with one of my colleagues a startup, which was basically subscription clothing for men.
Okay.
Which
in South Africa or here?
No, here in Australia.
Yeah. Okay.
Which eventually was unsuccessful, but I got bitten by the technology bug. I was part of the project to create the software around that product.
Yeah. Okay.
For our customers, and that led me on a path towards technical roles, firstly in accounting firms, and then delivery roles, and then data delivery role.
So on joining Endeavour, I'm always interested, why somebody's attracted to join somewhere. Yeah. Because really, what do we really get? We sometimes get, a sense of a place. We sometimes get an interview, and then we make a big decision in life. But what attracted you to the group?
So what attracted me was the data part of the data-led transformation.
Yep.
So it was the delivery role within a data-led project.
Okay. But you knew did you know somebody at Endeavour as well, or?
Yeah. So practically how it worked is that I had a colleague whose wife worked at Endeavour.
Yeah. Okay.
And I asked her a few questions about data and delivery.
Yep.
And she said, "Would you like to have an interview?" So that's practically how it works.
Yes.
But before that, we corresponded, and I got the full picture of Endeavour.
Yep.
So I understood what it was as a culture. I understood what the data part of Endeavour looked like.
Yep.
So I was very fortunate that I had all that information to make the decision. Not everyone gets all the information before they make the decision. I was very fortunate to have that, but specifically I was interested in not only data projects as in delivering projects with a data focus, but also how data can inform the ways that we work, how data can inform how a project is delivered.
Yeah, understood.
So if we work in a data project, you're delivering a forecast as an example, a machine learning model as an example. But there's also the part of the project which is we're working with data professionals. We can understand how we can work better using some of the expertise that they have around data science, around estimation, around capacity planning. So that's what engaged me the most to work at Endeavour.
And that's a different context to previous projects you've delivered, is it?
Yes, that's a different context. So previously I worked at great organisations.
Yep.
I worked in delivering projects that had an integration focus after a purchase, after a merger and acquisition.
So you knew exactly what the end goal was.
I knew exactly what the end goal was in those. And to some degree, they were less complex. So the challenge also excited me. The complexity around a data project is that you're informed about the way the project's going in terms of priorities as the data comes out, as you learn more from the delivery, as you learn more from the project itself. which adds a nuance to how you deliver projects.
Which makes sense. So in terms of people considering joining or considering exploring Endeavour Group, do they, well, I already know the answer because you're not from particularly a data-led world necessarily. Are they going to be compromised if they're not from a complex data-led organization? Or is it simply about a learning curve? And
I think it's simply about an attitude. I think it's about wanting to be in a data-led world, wanting to have the understanding that a lot of what we do will be driven by the data and less so by stakeholder priorities, or less so by known output that we're aiming to achieve.
Yes,
those are also important. Those inform the priorities, and they always will inform the priorities. But I think the main part about it is we learn as we go, which is a big part of agile ways of working.
Yeah.
But even more than that, the data informs how we learn and how we deliver the project.
And how does having brands such as Dan Murphy's and BWS impact your role?
So I think there's a few parts to it. Firstly is that there's a customer at the end, and that's where our focus is always. So there's a customer that is the end customer, who's a purchaser, a shopper at BWS or Dan Murphy.
Might seem obvious, but a lot of organizations don't start there, do they?
No. I mean, yes, they don't start there, but it's a focus of what we do.
Yes.
As in the use cases that are set up in the data-led transformation tribe are centered around our customer, whether it's the customer as the end customer or the customer as in an employee within the Dan Murphy's, BWS, Jimmy Brings, within those brands, if you look at it like that. So that's the first part Dan Murphy's and BWS brings to the role of delivery. And more specifically, that is the scale of value that you can add. So Curtis says 6 million people that we touch on a weekly or daily basis. So if you're delivering a project, the scale that you can add to it, or the scale of value that you can add, that's something that Dan Murphy's and BWS as a brand brings. I think more specifically and more pointedly to the role is that there's an investment in the best practices, the best technology, and most importantly, the best team. And that's what having brands at this scale can do for a role like ours. Yet at the same time, we're still developing as Endeavour X.
Yes.
So as a little man, me, not just in heart, but little man in terms of stature within the organization, I can have a real impact, a real influence on the way that we work, for example, as a delivery lead. Or a product manager can have a real impact on the outcome of a product that we're developing. Or a data scientist can have a real impact on the forecast or the model that we're building, because we're still developing our ways of working. But at the same time, the value that we add and the investment that we have is just, I think that's unique to having such a big brand or such a well-known brand with such a new way of working.
I think everybody, I think since Endeavour demerged from the parent company, a year, 12 to 18 months ago, whenever it was, and again gets variously described as a $10 to $15 billion startup. I think people find that it's intriguing that you actually end up, what I keep hearing from everybody, you end up with all the clout of a large organization, investment in best practice, ability to try things and, to take risks, if that's the right word, but then coupled with an agility and a dynamism that just gets lost, dare I say, in a big bank or somewhere like that.
Yeah. So the influence and recognition, again, that the little people can have on such a big brand, that's unique.
Yeah. I do like the fact that whether it's coincidental, but the people I've spoken to, or some of the people I've spoken to at Endeavour, they don't all have a linear career path there.
Yeah,
which I like. I mean, I think to me it suggests just an open-mindedness from an organisation that's actually looking at a person as an individual and what their skills are, what their talents are, what their aspirations are, rather than just what degree did you do? Have you worked here? You know what I mean? So one of the values of Endeavour is
we're real, which real is not everyone's followed that linear path.
Yeah. But again, a lot of organizations talk that game, but don't really live it.
Yeah. You know? So I'm an example of they have lived it, because I didn't follow that path. My path was, through accounting professionally. But even before that, my study was in philosophy. So
yeah, right.
That's.
I wonder what you're going to do when you grow up. It'll be it's going to be interesting to follow your journey.
Yeah.
What do you think about within Endeavour? I mean, you're literally 90 days in.
Yeah.
But a running theme has been this that the group embraces people's aspirations and are not afraid to give people opportunity beyond their current remit or their functional area. Do you have a sense of that yet?
I do have a sense of that. I think that because what we were speaking about, because of the agility, there's a real place for people to impact, for people to influence. And obviously within the line of expertise or within the line of knowledge. So I would be trying to impact the ways in which we work.
Yes.
And that Endeavour does, and specifically Andy gives, a broad brush to everyone to allow them to influence that. So that's my sense from Endeavour.
So when you say Andy, you're referring to Andy Sutton?
I am referring, yeah.
Who, again, we sat down with some time back. And, whilst we're talking there, I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but just expand on that. At the end of the day, he's leading the transformation, the data-led transformation. Just expand on what his leadership looks like, what it feels like to be a part of, if you like.
Yeah, so I'll just, one anecdote. So I asked him, what can I do to help the tribe? So he said, the thing that I want from delivery leads is when you do something within your squad or within your team, keep the tribe as a focus.
Okay.
Keep what you can do to positively impact the entire tribe.
See, the other thing, again, it's been a running theme, and these conversations they're not sort of cynically directed. They just sort of, we just kind of discover facts, I guess. But one of the running themes has been Endeavour's willingness to I guess, try things, trust people, to embrace projects, embrace ideas, and frankly, to get things wrong, but based on evidence, to say, let's try it.
Yeah,
we'll never know until we try it, and get behind it. I mean, that's a good place to be.
Yeah, I think so. I think it comes down to having the data-led approach as well, where the data defines what the next step is, rather than opinion of someone who's somebody.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah.
So the data will define what the next step in a project is, as it will define what the next step in terms of our use cases are. I know there's, as I think Andy says, there's unlimited use cases or infinite use cases for our data-led transformation, but the data will determine which ones we look at.
So everything you're describing, and you've touched on this, is all about, there's complexity within it. There's certainly challenge. I'm a firm believer that people actually, the right people, don't want an easy life at work. That challenge is very attractive to people. However, it's also challenging. So how do you stay motivated when you and your team have got to kind of push through some of this stuff?
Yeah, so it is challenging. There is complexity to the work. And I think a lot of the team members, a lot of the squad, a lot of the tribe is driven by that challenge. So that's a first factor. Second one is, we just touched on the leadership, the attitude that they have towards giving people a chance, giving them a go, allowing people to raise risks, raise concerns, raise issues, and dealing with those transparently. And I think that combined leads to where people feel safe, even in an environment which could be complex. So the motivation comes from within the tribe, being that we allow trial and error, we allow things to happen that may not lead to valuable results, but people are encouraged to raise risk, raise concerns, and therefore the motivation continues into the next phase of the project.
I think you've used the word real, but again, it's been a running theme, this idea that without fear or favour, you can speak up and share, thoughts, feelings, ideas, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But clearly there's this sense of belonging and, a sense of being able to be real.
Yeah. So encourage to challenge ideas is a big part. Allowing people the freedom to challenge ideas, no matter who you're challenging.
Yeah. So it's not hierarchical in that sense.
Not in that sense, no.
No. Good stuff. And again, we've sort of touched on some of this stuff, but really talk to me about what further role organizational culture plays in that, and include, for example, flexibility, because I'm still blown away that, we've finally found a large organization who are truly flexible.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Yeah, so I spoke about the value of real. There's the value of inclusivity. There's the value of endeavor, trying better. It's a great pun.
Yes.
In there.
Yep.
But one of the parts for me specifically, just in terms of where I am in life and family circumstance, is flexibility with having four kids.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So not only talking about it, but the culture within the tribe of flexibility, and for such a large organization to have that type of flexibility, which allows you to work from home. I'd call it guilt-free.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So, and an example of that would be, we had the recent spike of COVID cases in August.
Yeah.
The way that the communication was managed, the way that questions were managed around working from home during that time, that was impressive for such a large organization. So not only is there flexibility, but there's comfort around that flexibility.
Yeah. I think you said it. I think it's the guilt-free part.
Yeah.
Because again, not everybody, but organizations are still trying to find the level of flexibility, hybrid working, etc. And maybe a lot of organizations go into it in good faith. However, the outcome is there is guilt attached to it, and there is expectation and pressure to be back in the office. And I think if an organization is talking and offering flexibility, they've really got to believe in it and embrace it.
Yeah.
And this is what I've heard from people. What about on the flip side of that? What if you, dare I say, want to get away from the kids and you want to be in an office? How does that now look? Because the irony is it can...
That never happens.
Yep. Good, yeah.
So the office is open.
Yes, okay.
I don't know the exact wording of the policy, but the way I'd put it is flexible first.
Yes, okay, yep.
So it's not you're locked out of the office.
Yep. Sorry, forgive my naivety here, but I know there's a Sydney office.
There's a Sydney office.
What about elsewhere?
There's a Melbourne office as well.
Yeah, okay.
So cross-functional team is also cross-state team.
Yep.
Members of our team in Melbourne, Brisbane.
Yep.
So there's offices where can congregate, whether it's for work or social as well. There was talk of having a tribe day, which is to have everyone in on one particular day so that we do work together.
Yes, okay.
So that's the kind of example where it's guilt-free and with the highest degree of communication, if I can put it that way. So inclusive into the decision of, let's say, the day that we go in, or where we sit, or how that day would work best. So it's guilt-free and flexible.
Good. So in fact, that balance is there. Because again, flexibility is awesome, but I'm still a firm believer you've got to have met at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe not in the first 90 days, but at some point. So
yeah.
Good stuff. Fantastic. That's Ellie, that's given us a really good sense, again, another person's perspective on, and you've been so authentic and honest about and open about really what you've experienced in 90 days.
Yeah.
Is there any message you'd have for people wanting to learn more about the group or to understand it? Can people reach out to you or?
Yeah, I'm happy for people to reach out to me.
Yeah.
I think the connection between Endeavour X as an employee brand.
Yes, okay, yep.
And Dan Murphy's, BWS, Jimmy Brings, etc. As the well-known brands. That's something I would encourage people who are interested to investigate more.
Try and understand. Where do they best do that? I mean, I can help and you can help, but where do they best do that?
I think the first place is the Endeavour website. So just understanding the connection between the two, the role and the unique quality that I think is having those impactful brands with a technology-driven organisation. I think that's something unique that plays a role throughout anyone who works at Endeavour, throughout their working life.
Eli, that's fantastic. It really, again, as I said at the very beginning, this is all about talking to people with different perspectives at Endeavour Group, and just bringing to life what it means to work there, to help people who frankly have plenty of career choice in the market currently.
Yeah.
To try to get under the skin of the group and say, actually, who are these people? And start to think, do I want to be a part of that? So you've no doubt brought something to that.
Yeah, hope I've helped.
Which hugely appreciated. So thank you ever so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Lovely. Thanks.
Thanks for joining. This podcast was brought to you by Ember, creating talent solutions in technology, transformation, data and analytics, and project services across Australia. If you enjoyed the conversation, don't forget to leave a comment, subscribe and share. If you'd like to get in touch with the Ember team, simply send an email, visit the website, or connect on LinkedIn. Contact details can be found in the description. See you next time.